Welcome to the 611 Films YouTube channel. We are back in 99. My name is David Groves, is one of your hosts, and with me as always,
Neil McKay. What is going on?
Neil McKay, we are doing Toy Story 2, an animated film. One of our first.
Whenever it is our first.
First.
No, did we do?
Yes. No.
Did we do it?
Run Lola Run had an animated section, but I don't think we did
didn't.
anything animated as of yet.
I don't think so. What were the other animated? Tarzan came out in 99. What else?
And that's the question you could ask me, and I'd go, I have no idea, because this would be the only animated film I would have seen in years. I think I saw the Toy Stories, except for 4, and nothing else. I never saw Bug's Life. I never saw Cars. I never saw...
Speaking of Bug's
them.
Life, is apparently Bug's Life was like kind of taking priority over at Pixar, and this was kind of like, I don't know, and then they just kind of whipped this thing together. Like it was just sort of, I think they wrote it in a weekend. Yeah. Took like 9 months to make. Like it was just boop.
There's a lot of stuff like I don't know. Were you on Wikipedia too a little bit?
I was like looking up some stuff. And I mean, I'm like, dude, for kind of this like throwaway, I don't know. It came out pretty well.
Well, the funny thing is, this is 99, and I've been back with my nephew, who just turned 3 back in May. So, and Toy Story 2, aside from Paw Patrol, was the only thing I watched. I think with the week of me being home visiting with my family, I watched Toy Story 2 maybe 7 or 8 times.
Oh, wow.
Maybe not all the way through, but because that's all, you just watch the same thing over
Paw
again.
Patrol, that's a big deal. That makes sense. So that checks out.
Yeah.
Have you seen all of the Toy Stories, though? Have you seen all 4
So
of them?
I don't think that, it's funny when you try to get to, hey, why don't we watch the next one or the 4? I don't want to until you need to just start it for a little kid. And then when they watch it, they'll want to rewatch it. So I think we started that one or 3. I think the last one I truly remember was 3. And that was probably, because like if I look at it, 2, I might call like the most adventurous Toy Story or the most adventurous animated film. I think 3 was like the most emotionally like, this is really heartbreaking.
Yeah,
not heartbreaking, but very emotional as far as I remember.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I had to like kind of recap, like, okay, which one was which one, and then I forgot, like Toy Story 2. I was like, oh yeah, that was that one, and it was like, and because I just think of 3 as like that's got the teddy bear, the evil Teddy Ruxpin or Care Bear or whatever, lots of hugging bear, and then the 4th one was like, I'm kind of going, oh yeah, it had the fork toy.
Yeah, I think the 4th one, I was like, they just started the 4th one with him, and I never watched it. So if he's still on it, I might see it again on my Thanksgiving trip or whatever.
Keanu Reeves was like a stunt man or something, and then there was like a love angle with like this toy that.
I mean, they're really good. Look, I've heard so much good stuff about all that. I mean, everybody's talking about Up and. What's some other ones like Wall-E? I just don't watch animated movies. I just never. Yeah, Toy Story is the only series that I think I've seen all the way through a few times.
Toy Story is kind of like it's up in that upper echelon. Like everybody loves Toy Story and everything like that. But then when I kind of like got acclimated again, with like, oh, which one was Toy Story 2? And then I was like, I forget. Like, there's a good reason for it because they are like pretty brilliant movies. And this was like. Mm-hmm. I mean, based on the first one was great, but like then this one kind of like, okay, we're going to do something a little different. And I thought it was really cool. Like it was a fresh spin. I mean, they kind of reversed the Woody and Buzz Lightyear character, like where they were going through opposite things that they went through in the first one. Mm-hmm. And they just have these like existential crises. So it's not just like a kid's movie. It's like as an adult, you can watch this and go, oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Right.
I totally get that,
Yeah,
so and it's great how it appeals to everybody,
Oh yeah, and they've got funny. It's funny throughout. Like it's been said so many times with Pixar and like that kind of humor. It's like it can work for the adults, and even when kids don't get it, they're still on the ride. They're still there for the fun. Yeah. And like I said, I thought that this one was like, haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure I did see it, maybe on DVD or did something Netflix-wise, I don't know if I was back east or something. So I had seen it before, but obviously with a nephew that's 3, saw it a lot. I was like, this is really adventure. Like, a lot is happening.
Yeah, and this one is kind of a little when I was kind of like, okay, I was watching the like little clips and stuff. I was like, wait a minute, this is the one, and you know what I'm talking about, where they did a like a mashup of The Dark Knight, like the audio from that, and they put it over the video of Toy Story 2, and it was this one. So
Do I know this?
I thought so. I thought this was one of those things that were like years ago. I think if you YouTube like if you search for The Dark Knight Toy Story 2 trailer, somebody took clips of Toy Story 2 and then laid the trailer audio of The Dark Knight.
There's no going back. See, to them, you're just a freak. Like me.
It's really cool.
That's
it's
cool.
Like pretty,
yeah, I'll
wild.
show a clip of that and rewatch it. If I did see it, I just don't remember it. But yeah, it sounds fun. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's definitely fun.
But I think the idea, the like you were saying too, looking stuff up, I was like, oh yeah, didn't this win like the Oscar for animated feature?
Yeah.
What I didn't realize was there was no animated feature for that. Didn't start till 2002. It did win for comedy. It won for comedy musical at the Golden Globes, which is wild for an animated film.
Okay. I guess I just assumed it won best animated, but that's right. You're right. That didn't start until somewhat recently. That is nuts. An animated movie winning best picture, Golden Globe. That's insane.
Yeah, for the musical or comedy realm, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Yeah. And then the other thing, like you said too, was the idea of the production. What was interesting was they were always thinking of putting this on just direct to video. You know, the first one had done well, but the other ones do pretty well too. And I guess there was a lot of issues with Disney, Pixar, Steve Jobs, Michael. Like there was tons, and you guys can check it out on Wikipedia, of course. But yeah, they had like 9 months to do the whole thing. I love that there was this idea that they were doing this weekend-long thing of all the writers and some of the other people were coming in for one weekend to figure out the full story and just like call it a day.
Yeah.
And they did. And they made it work.
I was impressed by that, you know, something, you know, this good could come out of something that was so just hodgepodge and kind of thrown together. And I'm always very impressed by like kind of the things that they play with in this. And especially, you know, where they always go into this, like, you know, you're getting thrown away or like split up from your owner, your family, like a toy is no longer needed or whatever. And then they brought this like interesting new kind of like, but you do have value as like this, you know, for a collector, and you're in like a zoo or like not a zoo, but like you're in a box. And
the big idea was that the museum, the Wayne Knight sort of character, the sort of antagonist, if you will, of this movie, just to talk more about the movie, was, you know, sort of a collector and found Woody and stole him to sell him to someone in Japan.
It just was very interesting that they took that instead of just going like, okay, well, we were talking about like when kids, you know, abuse the toys or like get too old for the toys or whatever. Now we have this new angle where, you know, what is your worth and what is your value as a toy? Well, you know, and then they kind of explored this thing. So I just find it just like, it was cool because they played on stuff that, you know, and the nostalgia of it, but they have these different like plots and they kind of up the ante a little bit. So
thematically it's very like that stuff is very interesting. And like I said, with that sort of that action, like to do all that stuff like in 9 months, since I think the first one my memory it's very sort of contained. And then the third, a little bit more emotional. I don't remember the fourth one exactly, but this one, kind of rewatching it, I was like, there is a lot going on. This is a lot of
they had
action and adventure for an animated film.
Yeah, I mean, it's an animated movie, so it's not like you got to pay these locations. You just got to draw them. But I mean, it was like kind of crazy. I mean, you're in a toy store, you're in an airport, like you're in a baggage claim, you're out in the street, like with trucks and stuff. And I mean, it was all over the place.
To do all of that. Or the executives being like, let's, we can't move the date for release, but you have 9 months now, redo a lot of it. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to think because that is like a full blown franchise. Like, I mean, that is a big moneymaker, and it's just.
I guess they didn't realize it.
Whatever.
I guess they didn't realize it at the time, and this is another thing that I was thinking, and this is where I was like, but Disney and they had never really done sequels for theater. You know what I mean? So they were so like, what? It's just Aladdin, and then it's Aladdin 2 direct to video, or it's just everything we do is a one-off. They didn't think of sequels as being something, and it was it was the third highest grossing movie of 99.
That's right, of the year.
Yeah.
Behind Star Wars and what was it? Sixth Sense was the number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were looking at our Wikipedia articles before this for sure.
Yeah,
but,
well, I mean, just to talk about this other stuff interesting too, I was just like, and then there was another scare, which for you and I as editors, I think I'd lose my mind. They almost lost the entire film by some random animator who Control-Alt-deleted almost everything. Like, all of it was almost gone. It was only because of another animator who was working, I guess, off-site from the studio, who had pretty much all of the elements sort of backed up. But there was a, it's like for you and I, or like any editor, for any project, for something like this, how big this is, to lose everything as for how long it takes.
That is crazy. And you would think, I mean...
And the backups, something didn't work, or there was another backup issue. I was like, this movie had a lot of issues, but it still turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, show it to your children, your niece and nephew. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Back in 99. If you liked it, like it. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you again on the next episode of Back in 99. Later.